Teaching all to love each other, brings us to the joy line. And we're joyful, and we sing, joyful, joyful, hallelujah. Joyful, joyful, hallelujah. We're saying thank you, God. Joyful, joyful, hallelujah. Joyful, joyful, hallelujah. Wow. Here's the coolest one. Teaching all to love each other, brings us to the joy divine.
Happy Sunday. I love Sundays, I want you to know. I love getting here and looking out on these amazing, wonderful, beautiful spiritual lights. It just is such, I am so blessed. I am so blessed. Wow. I got a message, I'd say probably toward the end of last year and in between kind of Christmas and New Year's. And one of the messages that I got for me in my prayer times and my meditation times was that what I wanted to really kind of think about and focus on for this next year was to heal and to transform any fears that I have or any resentments or angers that might still have residual kind of things like that. Anybody have any of those? Oh, good. I'm not the only one. I'm glad. I was a little concerned that I was, you know. That was one of my fears. And as I was doing that, I kind of got a message, really, that there are steps and powerful processes that we have access to in unity. And we have, not just in unity, but in the world today. And I had a wonderful opportunity toward the fall of September of 2012. I did a series of lessons based on a work that from Colin Tipping called Radical Forgiveness. How many of you were here and got a chance to experience that? Was that transforming for you as much for you as it was for me? Yeah, it was. It was just a very powerful awareness and very powerful gifts and tools that helped us to move into a whole nother level of being able to forgive others in our lives. Well, Colin has another wonderful workout, and it kept calling to me. And this one is called Radical Self-Forgiveness. Yeah, ooh, ah. It's called The Direct Path to True Self-Acceptance. Now, how many of you, when I talk about that, feel all excited and ready to go? Some of you, good. And how many of you kind of go, oh, really? Little here, yeah, a little something. It's like, well, you know, I think that's a very good awareness, and I think it's valuable for us to really just notice those things. And one of the things that we find is sometimes maybe you feel this way, maybe not. I find that sometimes it's a whole lot easier for me to forgive others than it is for me to forgive myself. Anybody know what I'm talking about? And yet the reality is, and the truth is, all of our relationships, every relationship we have, is a reflection of that relationship that we have with ourselves, isn't it? Isn't that one of the real underlying principles of our spirituality? Is that understanding that ultimately all of these connections, all of these relationships are in some way a mirror of what's going on inside of us. And so I think this is going to be a wonderful opportunity, and I'm going to invite you to join me on a journey a journey to explore how we can really be in the awareness of the presence of light and love and spirit within ourselves, so that we can then make that step to also be that light even more in our world. Now, I doubt there's anybody here that really needs to do any forgiveness work. I suspect you guys have already done it all by now. Wouldn't you agree? What? Of course not. Edwin Gaines, bless her heart, I love Edwin Gaines. He says, if you want to know if you're done forgiving, if you're still in a body, you're not. And I think that's really important awareness for us to recognize that we're really here. A big part of what we're doing here, part of our purpose, is to really go through the process of letting go of those things in us that are blocking us from really experiencing and knowing the wholeness of our unique spiritual nature. One of my favorite stories, and I told this actually when I did the Radical Forgiveness class, so if you've heard it before, remember your lessons from that class and forgive me. I love this story about the young boy that was walking along, and you see this cartoon, and you can see him walking along. He's looking kind of dejected, and he's kind of shuffling his feet, and he's dragging his baseball glove along, and he says, I can't believe it. I missed 2 pop flies, and I struck out 3 times. I just really suck at baseball. And his little dog is bouncing around going, what are you talking about? You're the greatest baseball player ever. And he looks over at the dog and says, that just goes to show you, to err is human and to forgive is canine. Yeah. So we're going to practice a little canine spirituality, canine therapy, you might say. That's one of the things I love about animals, is they just have this amazing way of shifting, don't they? They have amazing ways of shifting their awareness and shifting their energies. And you and I have that ability also. We have the possibilities of moving into a whole nother level of awareness and experience of both past experiences that others that we felt have harmed us in some way, but also really shifting those awarenesses and those thoughts and those thinking patterns within ourselves that are keeping us blocked and stuck from really living the fullness of life. How many of you would like to really live a life that is absolutely full of joy? How many of you would like to really live a life that's full of love? How many of you like to experience even more abundance in your life? How many of you would like to have more peace? How many of you, well, you get the message, right? I'm going to suggest to you there's really one essence that's keeping us from doing that. There's one thing, there's one challenge, there's one, you might say, one obstacle that's blocking us from experiencing that in our lives. One of my favorite works, and some of you were a part of this class, and we're still doing the work. How many of you were involved in our Heal Your Life class? I know many of you were. We had a number of folks that were, You Can Heal Your Life. How many are familiar with that Louise Hay's work? Louise Hay has this wonderful awareness, and it's been one of the most profound things for me to remember, is that the bottom line for all of us when it comes to the difficulties and challenges and the things that are keeping us from experiencing all of those things that we say we want to experience, the love, the joy, the peace, the bottom line is an idea, an energy, a thought system, a feeling that says something of the nature, I'm not good enough. Right. And when we are able to shift and transform and change that energy within ourselves, we are actually opening the floodgates of heaven to be able to experience even more blessings of prosperity, of love, of joy, of peace in all aspects of our lives. And as long as we hold on to that, God is still trying to pour a blessing into and through us, and we're not allowing it. Isn't that the truth? We get in the way, don't we? We get in the way of our own good nature, our own being. Now, for some, as we go through this these lessons over the next 7 weeks, we're going to go on a journey of really learning how to move into a place of moving through those belief systems and those energies. We're going to do some practices with that, and we're going to do some really powerful shifting of our awareness and our energies about our ability to hold ourselves in high esteem. The ability to hold ourselves in a place of real, true, deep love and acceptance. Now, for some, these lessons are actually going to be not so hard. They're going to be fairly easy, believe it or not. And for some, it's going to be, we're going to kind of feel like that the universe is giving us a real nice kick in the astral plane. What, did I say something? And there's some truth to that, because we are working with spiritual awarenesses. We're working with spiritual principles. And sometimes the universe is trying to help us move through some of those blocked places in our lives. And sometimes we do need a good old kick in the astral plane in order to move through them, don't we? Yeah. I love that phrase, actually. No, actually, I stole it from somebody, so. But I'm sure they'll forgive me. I want to read to you from a book by James Dillard Freeman, The Story of Unity. And this is from Myrtle Fillmore, the co-founder of Unity. I've made what seems to me a discovery. I was fearfully sick. I had all the ills of mind and body that I could bear. Medicine and doctors ceased to give me relief, and I was in despair when I found practical Christianity. I took it up, and I was healed. I went to all the life centers in my body, and I spoke words of truth to them, words of strength and power. I asked their forgiveness for the foolishness, ignorant course that I had pursued in the past. And when I had condemned them and called them weak and inefficient and diseased, I let a little prayer go up every hour that Jesus Christ would be with me and help me to think and speak only kind, loving words. And Jim Freeman says, in 2 years, Myrtle Fillmore was no longer an invalid. Through her prayer, she was made absolutely whole. This was actually, I think, a pivotal time and a pivotal moment, and this is what really was the essence and foundation of what Unity is and what Unity has come to be. This is, in my opinion, where Unity really started, was in this healing experience. And in that healing experience, the essence of what happened in that healing experience was forgiveness. So I'm going to suggest to you that if you really want to know the deeper teachings of Unity, I get tickled sometimes because sometimes people will say, well, you know, we want the deeper teachings of Unity. Yeah, the deeper teachings of Unity are in the essence of forgiveness. And the more we are able to do that, not only for those others in our lives, but really do that for ourselves, the more we become a part of shifting and changing the energy and the consciousness of the planet. And this is going to be a very powerful and wonderful opportunity for us to learn new awarenesses and new things and new ways, and revisit some that we've already gotten before. You know, the truth of the matter is, most of us intellectually know this stuff, right? And the real healing work happens, though, when we get it from knowing it in our intellect to really being able to put it into practice on a more consistent basis in all aspects of our lives. Michael Rice in New Thought magazine said the root meaning of forgiveness in Aramaic is to cancel or to untie or to let loose. And so we're here and moving into a time where we're going to practice things that help us to untie and to let loose some of the things that have kept us stuck. They've kept us stuck in lack, they've kept us stuck in illness, they've kept us stuck in harmony in our relationships. And it's going to be an opportunity for us to begin to shift many, many things in our relationships that many of them are going well, but they're not absolutely as magnificent as they possibly can be. And we're going to move into a place where we can really move to that next step and that next level. So we're going to be working with radical self-forgiveness, the direct path to true self-acceptance. As I was preparing and looking at how we want to move into this work, one of the things that came to me is to recognize that something that we actually were working with in our class yesterday. We had a class yesterday based on the shadow effect, and this is a wonderful work that it was profound. We had like 20 people there, and it was just a beautiful experience of awareness of that there's something going on that's really keeping us stuck in life, and this is really what he's saying as well. He says, when the human psyche is examined in depth, it appears that deep down we all are afflicted with a profound and enduring sense of self-loathing. Again, that I'm not good enough. And if he goes on, he says, Swiss psychiatrist Carl Jung and many others who have since followed this lead have shown that both individually and collectively we have repressed a huge amount of guilt and shame about ourselves. Jung referred to this as our shadow. Each one of us has an individualized shadow, of course, but in addition, we are all a collective shadow. We all have a collective shadow. And so there's a connection that we have. The unity that we have is not only of our light, but really we have a unity in our darkness as well. And sometimes we don't like that. We don't like to look at that and recognize that the things that I don't like in you are really things that are in me. It's so easy to find it in others, isn't it? It's so easy, and yet sometimes we have difficulty seeing the darkness in ourselves, but there's the other piece of this also. The other piece of this is sometimes we have difficulty seeing the light in ourselves. We can see it in others. I want to thank you guys because I know that many of you guys appreciate me for what I do here, and you see the light in me, and I see that you do that. But what I want to encourage you to recognize is the moment that you see that light in me, it's because it's in you. You couldn't see it if it weren't in you. And this is one of the things that really helps us to recognize and shift our understanding. If you see darkness in someone, I got news for you. You can't see that darkness in someone else unless you also have some aspect of that darkness within you. But the powerful thing about this is every bit of this is here for the purpose of blessing us. It's here for the purpose of helping us to develop and to grow into a deeper and richer and more magnificent experience and expression of our divine nature. There's a light that is in every one of us that is so magnificent that we feel like we have to put blinders on to be able to see it and experience it. And that's what we do. We put on these blinders. We put on shades. So, as Paul calls it, we see through a glass darkly. And part of our spiritual awakening, part of our unfolding is learning how to take away layers of those shades that we've been putting on so that we can begin to see not only the world, but to see ourselves through different eyes. To see our world and ourselves through the eyes of the Christ, as we call it, that divine nature that is within every one of us. And if we can really begin to do that, and that is part of the work, isn't that's really the process of learning to heal and forgive a lot of the memories and the pains and the frustrations and the resentments and the limiting beliefs that have kept us caught up in all kinds of churning and drama. Anybody know about drama? Anybody have any drama in their life? I'm glad I'm not the only one. That's, Lewis Smead says, forgiving heals your memory as you change your memory's vision. And so that's what we're in the process of doing. So I want to give you a couple of ideas or assumptions that we're going to make in this journey that we're taking together on radical self-forgiveness. And these are the same principles that you'll find in the work of radical forgiveness, but we're going to turn them in a way that helps us to see more clearly how we can release some of the blocks that we have to our own innate experience of that magnificence that's within us. So to start with, and again, as I said, some of these you may find, I'm going to ask if these are new to you or you find that there's some resistance that comes up in you about these thoughts or ideas. just put them on the back burner, as I say. You may find that at some point that you may kind of go, I can't buy that, I can't accept that. Just listen and notice, and if you will, put it on the back burner, because at some point in life you may find that it comes up again. And you may find that it's there for you in a way that you hadn't thought of before. And you may experience some experience in your life that kind of goes, oh, that's what that was about. So just kind of put it on the back burner if it doesn't really feel like it fits right now. To start off with, while our bodies and our senses tell us we are separate individuals, we are, in fact, all one. This is the assumption that we're going to be making. I call these assumptions, and one of the things he talks about here is he lists them as principles, and he says, but I really want to say that they're really not principles. They're really more like assumptions that can really make a difference in helping us to shift our awareness and our energy. The second one is that we're spiritual beings choosing to have a human experience, but without awareness. Number three, we live in two worlds simultaneously. The world of spirit and the world of humanity. And this is where we get confused a lot of times. Life is not random. It provides for the purposeful execution of our own divine plan with opportunities to make choices and decisions in every moment. We create our reality through the law of cause and effect. Thoughts are causes that show up in our world as physical effects. Reality is an outplaying of our consciousness. Our world offers a mirror of our beliefs. Eric Butterworth says, we see the world not as it is, we see the world as we are. Now wait a minute. Then next, we at the soul level get precisely what we need in our lives for our spiritual growth. How we judge what actually we get determines whether we experience life as painful or joyful. So how we judge it, we have a little thing on our board that says how you view it is how you do it. And then through relationships we grow and learn, through relationships we heal and are returned to wholeness and truth. And through the law of resonance, we attract people who resonate with our issues so that we can heal them. And in that sense, they serve as our teachers. So these are the basic ideas and principles that we're going to be working with in this series over the week. And so I'm going to invite you to kind of contemplate some of those ideas, and we're going to go through those in more depth as we go through the series. Ashley Brilliant says, I have to forgive the world. It probably doesn't even realize how much it upsets me. Unless we tell it, of course. I'm sure we tell it at different times, don't we? So I want to share with you, in closing, actually, I'm going to go ahead and close because I think we really I'm setting the stage here for opportunities for us. There's two things I want to share with you as we begin into closing this lesson. Charles Fillmore, many years ago, wrote a wonderful little message, and it came out in a wonderful pamphlet called A Sure Remedy. How many of you are familiar with that, A Sure Remedy? The essence of the Sure Remedy is this. He says, here's a mental treatment that is guaranteed to cure every ill that flesh is heir to. Sit for half an hour every night and mentally forgive everyone against whom you have any ill or any antipathy. And I'm going to extend that and say, including and especially yourself. So, I came across this story that I want to close with. There was a woman who was dying of AIDS, and a priest was summoned, and he was attempting to comfort her, but she was distraught, absolutely distraught. She says, I'm lost. My life is ruined, and everything around me is ruined. I've ruined myself. I've ruined everyone around me. I mean, I know that I'm going to go through a painful experience I know I'm going to go to hell. And there's no hope for me. And the priest looked over and saw on her dresser a frame and a picture, and in the picture was a young girl. And he asked her, well, who's this young girl on the dresser? And she said, that's my daughter. And he asked her, do you think if your daughter had done all of these things that you feel so bad about, that you would be able to forgive her? And she said, well, of course, she's my daughter. And I love her. And I know that I would love her and I would forgive her. And the priest said to her, do you realize that God has your picture on God's dresser? Do you realize that the universe has your picture on its dresser? You are the beloved of God. I invite you this week to remember that awareness that you are so loved. You are so loved beyond your own imagination and ability to really comprehend. You are so loved. And are you willing? Are you courageous enough to accept that and share that love with yourself? This is the invitation, isn't it? Whew. Big work for a lot of us, isn't it? But I got news for you. You have within you what is needed to do exactly that, because that's how you were created. God bless you. Nice deep breath. Breathe into the heart space. Begin to relax into that place of stillness, of quiet, of peace. At the very essence of our nature and our being, just breathe into that and feel in between the in-breath and the out-breath stillness, peace. And as you breathe in and out, let your heart be opened with the awareness and the knowing of that love that is beyond our imagination, that's beyond our possibility of humanly experiencing it or expressing it, but that is continually opening us to new and greater healing experiences, to greater blessings, to love beyond reason, beyond questions, beyond doubts and fears, beyond our judgments, our shoulds and should nots, our haves and have nots. Love that is beyond our doing and our not doing. Love and acceptance. that in. Be willing to allow it in. To allow ourselves to feel and know it. And even when we can't, to trust and know that it's still there for us. And to peel one more layer off of anything that stands in the way. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, Blessed Spirit. Take a nice deep breath. Breathe into the heart space and give thanks that there is that love and that light within our very being. And the willingness and the ability to open it inward and outward. And so it is. Take another nice deep breath. When you're ready, gently open your eyes and be present here and now.